to have an examiner. We do not have one in Cascade County. Every other county does, and it's time that we have an examining land surveyor looking over the documents again. I believe that the documents are one of the most important things that any of you all will have. It's your land records, it's your birth and death certificates, it's your DD 214s, and those documents need to be cared for in a timely manner. The other part of the office is the auditing, where we're going to look at every single penny of taxpayer dollars spent, and the auditor can stop the spending from any department at any time if there's any questions of how the money is being spent. And so I believe that I'm the best person for the job. I did it for 16 years and I would like it back. Do I have a second? Or do I go down?
No, just pass it to Jane.
Oh.
Did you ask the
Both questions? I thought there was.
I was gonna ask everybody the same question down the line and then question two down. Is that okay?
No.
No,
The first question has 2 parts.
she answered both. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I get both parts of question one, but
Yeah.
yes, she answered both.
Thank you, Lauren.
Okay.
I just want to be fair to Rena.
Absolutely.
Could you ask the second question to make sure if she wants to add any comments? The second question is part.
Oh, we're answering question.
Okay.
We're answering, sorry, to clarify, we've got 2 questions for all the candidates up front here. We're gonna each answer the same question down the line, question 1, and then we'll move on to question 2, and everybody will get to answer question 2 now.
Okay.
Okay, so same question for Jean Weber. What is your professional background and life experience that makes you believe you're qualified for office? And why are you running for office?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody who has put this session on. Are we on?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to thank everybody who's organized this town hall tonight. It's great to see some new faces in the audience. I appreciate that. So my entire professional career has been working for the people. I worked 30 years for the Forest Service. The name service in that agency is there for a purpose. I was public information officer, which means that I met with the public on a regular basis. I conducted public meetings. I met on very controversial land management projects that we were doing. And so I was a moderator for those, and I actually asked people their opinions and considered those opinions when our land managers were making their decisions. So I worked in that job for 30 years in service. When I retired, I flunked retirement once, and I became a county commissioner for a decade. So I served you here in Cascade County for a decade. As a county commissioner, you're responsible for all the budgeting for the entire county. So I understand what it takes for local government to make sure that you have public safety services, you have city county health services, that you are able to go and have aging services with Meals on Wheels and all of the amenities that Cascade County government provides to you. 2 years ago, I flunked retirement a second time and I became a legislator. So I'm a freshman legislator. So I have now experience in state government. I have experience at federal level, county level, and now at state level. And my husband likes to joke that, you know, in 10 more years, I'll probably run for mayor so I can actually have city level.
All right, Steve, same question. What's your professional background and life experience that you believe makes you qualified for office? Also, why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes to respond.
All right, thank you very much. Well, good evening. My name is Steve Keller, and you may have heard me on the radio for a few decades, the voice on the radio or TV or on the stage. And in broadcasting, the most important part of your job is not the talking, it's actually listening. So I've been listening to this town and reporting on this town. A little bit of background, just for people who don't know, I grew up in a very small town in Washington State of about 400. My dad was in the Navy, never home. My dad was Walter Cronkite. And I was a news junkie from a very early age because I was checking out in 1968 what Walter Cronkite was talking about when he told America that the war was a stalemate. And that's been my framing in the broadcast industry. My first full-time job was as a newscaster in Cheyenne, Wyoming. My dad, 86 now, in the Navy for 20 years, Chief Petty Officer. My wife was at Malmstrom for several years. We had 3 years at NATO. She was fourth down in power from 2 presidents in nuclear cybersecurity. So she was kind of a big deal back then. But I've always been connected to the military and doing the right thing. And when we came back to Great Falls, I knew that this town was meant so much to me. So I'm running because right now we are being squeezed by taxes. We're being squeezed by things that don't make sense. And I want to go and be your voice as the voice of reason that is accessible as I was on the radio. So I'm Steve Keller asking for your vote. Be the voice for Great Falls HD 20. Thank you.
Ms. Leela, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe, oh, wow, my southern accent. Sorry about that. That makes you qualified for this office, and why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Leila Graham. I grew up sort of in Great Falls on the south side. I'm a Sunnysider. Yay, Roadrunners. But I'm also an Air Force brat, so we got to move around a lot. I spent most of my formative years in England, and then I graduated high school with my parents moving back here in Fairfield. I joined the military out of high school. I was in the military intelligence corps. I served 6 years in the Army. So yeah, if you wanted to ask me more about that, after I left the Army, I went to University of Virginia, used my GI Bill, and as honors major, focusing on women and gender theory. Yay! And then I spent the next 15 years doing campaign management. All over the country, anywhere that DCCC sent me, or any higher up the ladder. I was in Wyoming as the executive director at one point. So that's fun. But anyway, I moved back home about 10 years ago. I moved to Missoula. My stepdad, was in the village. He had Alzheimer's, so I moved back to Montana to take care of him. While he was here. So I moved back home to Great Falls about 4 years ago. So I think the qualifications, I'm a person in long-term recovery. You'll see a lot of recovery stuff. I have a little less than 10 years. So I have lived experience, suffer from addiction, homelessness, walk through the fire, homeowner now, running for office, I'm an active in the community. I'm the chair of House Great Falls. We run the cold weather drop-in. I'm on the Dynamic Recovery Board. I'm also on the Living Health Foundation. So I do a lot of stuff that's down to my core why I run. And I'm running because Montana has a citizen legislature, and we need people who have lived experience to serve. Thank you.
Mr. Miller, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe makes you qualified for office, and why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, I don't know if I need 2 minutes, but like Leila and Lonnie, I'm an Army veteran, so I had to actually become a leader of soldiers while in stressful situations all over the world. Afghanistan, 2 times before that in Iraq. So I know how stressful it is to live the hard experiences. I have come back to Montana about 14 years ago. Well, so anyway, it was a tough transition coming from 15 years of active service to transitioning to more civilian side. And so it was tough. And I understand the people who have had the transition, even say out of their original jobs in civilian sector, who may have lost jobs, who have to retrain and find a new job. So I understand that hardship. I understand that there are a lot of financial issues. I'm working on moving into a new living situation myself. So I know it's a transition. I know it's hard. Housing, food, transportation. Most of my career has been transportation. So basically, I want to make sure that everybody has the basics. Getting back to basics is my motto. So that's just how I want to do, not make any big issue of other things that aren't important. Thank you.
Mr. Rebecca, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe makes you qualified for office? And why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you. My name is Rebecca Bogdan Richards, and I just want to thank this audience for coming this evening and spending your time with us. And I'm really excited to be here and to be running for House District 23. And who I am is I am a 4th generation Montanan right here from Cascade County. I grew up on a ranch south of town. And if any of you know what ranch life is like, it's hard working. It's a lot of grit. It's a lot of endurance. And that's the kind of life that I grew up with. I grew up working for my dad at his business here in town, Mickey's Packing Plant, for those of you that know it. And that's not for the faint of heart. And that's the kind of integrity, that's the kind of hard work that I'm going to bring to this legislative race. But professionally, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I started my professional work, started working for the Girl Scouts. It gave me the opportunity to travel the state and meet some amazing people and train and work in some beautiful parts of our country. And I got to see some really poor parts of our country that need helping hands. From there, I got to work for a national nonprofit, the Lewis and Clark Trail Heritage Foundation. Have a great love for our historical sites here in Montana that bring a lot of tourism, a lot of dollars to our state. We need to keep that here in our state. And then from there, I worked for the city of Great Falls. And so I know what it means to have state and federal funding to those kind of funding sources and how to manage them. Because I was the supervisor of this facility right here, the Community Rec Center, and I worked for Park and Rec. I ran all sorts of programs. You may have had some kids come through that program. My last job was for the Parent Training Information Center, helping families that have children with disabilities navigate the school system. So I've had a diverse work experience, but it all directly reflects the fact that I have a child with a disability and I know how to navigate healthcare and the school system and have a deep love of our public lands. That is why I'm here today. And that is why I will fight for those things at our state legislature. Thank you.
Ms. Carroll, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe make you qualified for office? And why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you all for being here. First of all, I want to say I'm a lifelong citizen of Great Falls, as is my family. I've I worked at the Great Falls Emergency Services back before 911. And I worked for St. Joseph's Catholic Church, excuse me, in religious education. And from there, I went on to work for the Great Falls Public Schools for 21 years. But most of all, my qualifications are, I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. And I've raised wonderful children and grandchildren, and I'm really proud of them. And I've been involved in volunteer activities all through Great Falls, from the YWCA to Great Big Sky 55 Plus in statewide things. And I just feel like I love this community and I care very deeply about it. And I'm concerned where we're going, what we're losing, and I want to help with the future of Great Falls. And I believe in community. I believe in the people and supporting the people, not corporations. And I think we've swung away from community, and I really, really, truly believe in that. And I believe it would be such a privilege to be able to serve this community and give back what they've given to me. And thank you.
Mr. Turner, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe makes you qualified for office, and why would you office? You have 2 minutes.
Well, I'm Jerry Furter. Have I've lived in the same house basically for about the last 68 years, and I'm only a little over 68 years old. So, I've been a lifelong citizen of Great Falls and the state of Montana. I guess some of the background I have, everybody's talking about different things. One of my first jobs, I worked on the missiles as a laborer, so I was working for the federal government. Worked for Cascade County Road and Bridge, I had the county government, city of Great Falls as a laborer. And then some of these was as I was going to school to become a teacher, where I worked 5 years out of Hutterite Colony and another 20 years in Great Falls School District. I think my qualifications is I have a strong union background. I think people need to have a livable wage, and the only time I've seen a livable wage was when I was working for a union. I worked for but I worked for a Kmart and Best Products at one time, and I was making $2.80 an hour. I quit doing that to go back to school because I was going broke. Most of the time, my constituents when I was working were about 5 or 12. So you guys are a little bit older. And this is, I think my qualifications is that I love Montana. I love the people in Montana. And I think I'm not a politician, but I'm a concerned citizen.
Hey, Ms. Mitchell, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe makes you qualified for office, and why have you done this for office? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Margaret Mitchell, and I'm running for State Senate District 10 in this neighborhood. I grew up 2 blocks from here. I'm a mom, an engineer, and a 4th-generation Montanan. And I'm going to tell you my bio super quick, but I'm going to circle back around and tell you why that's important to you. I have a computer science engineering degree from Montana State University, Go Cats. I have a MBA from ASU's International School of Management, also known as Thunderbird, the #1 ranked school of international management in the world. Thanks to my Montana education and work ethic, I went from a software engineer to a vice president at American Express, where I ran global teams and multi-million-dollar projects that had to be delivered on time and within budget. Then I went on to be a CIO of a med tech startup, and I channeled my Depression era parents by being able to deliver in a very competitive environment under really tight budgets. But what does that all mean to you? I'm a trained problem solver, and I want to be your trained problem solver. I know how to deliver solutions. So when the tech companies come in and say they want to build a data center and use our utilities and our water, I can call both. And I can talk to those same tech companies. Oh man, I'm running out of time. To tell them that they need to bring opportunities to this state. So I can bring my skills as a trained problem solver to bring good legislation to help protect the Montana dream of affordable living, the opportunity to succeed, investment in our education, and safeguarding our public lands. Because I want to be your problem solver, and I'm going to work hard to be your senator. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pollan, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe makes you qualified for office, and why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Belinda Holland. I'm running for Senate District 11. Thank you all for being here tonight. My personal background is I'm actually completing my bachelor's in political science. I'm actually 8 short weeks away from graduating, so I'm super excited about that. I also have an extensive background in medical billing and claims, so I see firsthand exactly how messed up our medical insurance systems are, and being able to get medical care to individuals. I come from a lot of lived experience from how the rising rents that are absolutely getting, absolutely outrageous for normal working people such as myself. And for not very much space either. I mean, I'm coming out of a studio right now that was costing me $850 a month, plus the outrageous Northwestern energy bills that continue to grow and grow. And even down to the, doing laundry because they refuse to fix any of the washers and dryers. So it's $100 extra per month just to do laundry. And I know that I am not the only person that experiences these things. Obviously our broken healthcare system. I have extensive knowledge with that, as I stated. And also low wages. I mean, even for my last personal job that I had working in property management, I mean, even $18 an hour isn't even cutting it for people. So, I am here in this fight for everyone. Because we all deserve better here in Montana. I am fighting for healthcare, affordable housing, education, public lands and public hands, and criminal justice reform. So thank you all for being here tonight.
All right, Ms. Mindy, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe makes you qualified for office, and why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you all for coming. I'm happy to be here. I'm a doctor of optometry, which is a profession licensed and regulated by the state of Montana. I've been involved with the legislature every session of my career to protect or expand what is in our license. I'm a small business owner, Central Montana Eye Care, where we manage 20 employees. As far as leadership roles, I'm a past president of the Montana Optometric Association, past legislative chairperson for our district, and past legislative chairperson, past liaison to the American Board of Optometry, and past Children's Vision Committee chair. I've been married to Dr. Morgan Leach for 36 years. Raised 2 fine young adults and was very involved with their activities when they were growing up, including PTA president, soccer coach and referee, and religious education teacher, among other things. Why am I running? I live, work, and raise my family in Senate District 12. I care deeply about what is happening with governing, saw the need, and I am in this race. I am a Democrat both because I believe in democracy, our Constitution, and the rule of law, but also because I will always stand up for the least among us. My sister recently told me that I give 200%. She's not wrong. I'm nice, but I am no nonsense. A practical and common sense small business owner. I'm an extremely hard worker, and I tell the truth. And the truth is, Montana, it's time for a change. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and we'll get started with question 2. I just want to thank my federal candidates for being patient with us. We have so many wonderful locals that it was hard to fit everything in. So thank you for being patient and waiting. Also, I'm going to read this great comment we got on Zoom. It says, dang, these candidates are amazing. Are all Montanans like this? Just regular people who want to look out for their neighbors and make democracy better. Yeah. Thanks for watching that. Okay, awesome. So back to the front here, we got question number 2. Question number 2 for Rena Montana Moore is, what is the most important issue for your district and Montana at this time?
Well, since I'm a local county candidate, I don't have a district. My district would be all of you in Cascade County, no matter what district you live in. And the issues that I want to take care of are recording your documents in a timely manner, making sure that the commission minutes are recorded and put on the record in a timely manner so that everything that the commissioners have done with your tax dollars are on the record in a timely manner. Make sure that your birth and death certificates and DD 214s are secure. Audit every penny that the county spends. And for the first time since 2006, perform the duties of or since I left office, perform the duties of the examining land surveyor because I am a professional land surveyor. So I got your back, everybody. So I hope I can get your vote in November.
All right, Ms. Weber, your question is, what is the most important issue for your district in Montana at this time? You have 2 minutes to respond.
So I'm in House District 19, which is right where we are seated today in this room. And it goes all the way to 10th Avenue South on the lower side and up to 20th Street. So I have a really big variety of folks on the doors when I'm knocking. And so I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing on the doors. I got off the doors 20 minutes before this session started. I knocked 6 days a week because it's important that I know what the people want, what the people are worried about. And let me tell you what they're telling me almost exclusively. They're worried about Medicaid. They're worried about the work requirements that are now in place and that this state is doing fully 6 months in advance of the required federal requirement for doing that. They are upset by that. They are worried by that. And I help people when they have concerns with Medicaid or the SNAP program. But let me tell you what really concerns me. I sit on the taxation committee. The revenues in this state are going down and the service costs are going up. We are not going to be able to meet the services probably within less than 1 year. We are not bringing in enough revenues. What's happening is we've done tax exemptions for centrally assessed properties and for industrial. And we have a flat, I'm telling you, it's a flat income tax right now. We are losing $500 million of revenue a year that could come to this state for our schools and for the services that this state provides for us. That is not right. The corporations and the individuals that have moved into our state that make over $500 million a year need to pay a higher tax rate. We do not need a sales tax. The GOP is driving us to a sales tax, and if anybody tells you we need one, tell them we need to fix the income tax and the property tax structure for corporations.
Taylor, your question is, what is the most important issue for your district and Montana at this time? You have 2 minutes.
No, thank you very much. And again, thank you for coming out and doing a civic duty, coming out and being interested. And I am honored to be with such passionate people here. And the person on the internet was right. Great people. So thank you very much. Now, I would say for House District 20, which is basically about 20th and over 20th to 38th Street, from the river to almost 10th Avenue South. And the most important issue will be what the people tell me. That's what my first thought was. But there are some important issues facing Great Falls, and that is basically making sure our opportunity matches our security. We do have job opportunities here. We have, we are the electric city. We lit up the West. We can do that again with further infrastructure, creating high-paying jobs. A lot of it right here in Great Falls. We have our global medical hub with Toro University and Wiseman Hood Institute now. A lot of opportunity there. But if we don't fill those high-paying jobs with people who don't have the skills because they can't learn them because they don't have childcare, that's a problem. It can be an economic infrastructure solution for childcare. And that, I think, to get people back to work so we can have a greater tax revenue on that. Promoting affordable childcare is just it's not a family issue. This is infrastructure. Childcare shortage, affordable housing, housing in general. We have a shortage right now. And also we need to make a living in Montana and be able to afford our health care too. I have all of these things, and Jane brought up a great problem that we can fix. For every problem, there are 10 solutions. I'm that person. My solution is simple. Use our electric city power for us in Great Falls. And thank you.
Ms. Sabrina, what is the most important issue for your district and Montana at this time? Yeah, 2 minutes.
Hello, I have someone down, what I would like to do, there's a survey. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about your important issues, so if you want to fill out that, and I'm gonna share the results with all the candidates here. What I'm hearing on the doors is a lot like Jane, is affordability, period. It's access to healthcare. Obviously, I have this Medicaid saves my life, and we have the insurance available. We have our team who are, have them, so this access to healthcare, Medicaid, any across the board. I'm on the doors. I had this conversation with an older gentleman, probably Vietnam era, probably a veteran because he saw my army hat. And he says, he was like, well, I love Democrats, but I'm worried about the social issues that they're focused on. And I'm like, those are really important to me, but I'm worried that you're gonna die before you need to because you don't have access to healthcare. And that's the bottom line, access to healthcare, access to, groceries and energy and anything like that, bottom line. That's what we're hearing on the doors. It's affordability all across the issues, energy, healthcare, groceries, all of this. Affordability trumps everything. So this is what I'm hearing on the doors. And I'm hearing it, but I'd love to hear the surveys and see what you guys have to say. You know what districts you're in, please put that on there and I can share with other candidates as well. So thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Miller, what is the most important issue for your district and Montana at this time? You have 2 minutes.
Well, it's just like my other candidates here have said, we have to be able to work and then make sure that we have the money to live. And after that, we have to have the money to retire. So we have to have a return on investment mentality. So if the government isn't giving us back what we're giving them, then it's not going to be helpful. So we need to have people trained for good careers, that they have a backup if their career changes or something else in their life changes. We need to make sure that, like I said, Medicaid, Medicare, all of these things are taken care of. Social Security, that was an early 20th century thought that we got past, and now we have to worry about that. People younger than us are already concerned that they're not going to have those things. So Belinda and I went to the Farmers Union meeting last night, and we learned about things that are important to farmers and ranchers. That's a huge portion of what this state does. So we have to learn how to take care of them, train the next generations of farmers and ranchers, and make sure that that part of our economy stays strong.
Ms. Bogdan Richards, what is the most important issue for your district in Montana at this time? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So I have a unique district that is from Gibson Flats, which encompasses Whispering Drive all the way to Prospect Drive. And so there's 2 affluent neighborhoods that has in the middle a not so affluent neighborhood that has a little bit low to moderate income, and 10th Avenue South from there. And the things that I'm hearing when I told people that I'm running and talking to families that I've worked with, and it's not just one sole issue, but they all kind of roll in together. And we've kind of hit on it a couple of different times, the affordability. Can I afford to pay my electric bill, my grocery bill, my day-to-day life bills? Can I still live this life comfortably? And along with that, can I have the healthcare that I need to be able to live and work and do the things that I do? The other part of it too is there's a threat to our public education. And in our state constitution, every child in Montana has the right to that public education. It's written into our state constitution, besides being a federal right. And all of those things go hand in hand. And so many of our families in Great Falls rely on the public school system to have their children Monday through Friday so that they can go work. There's all of those things that kind of go hand in hand. And there's kind of a real threat to that. And one of the things that I am seeing a lot of is how many families that you wouldn't think would have to go do this, that are crowdsourcing for their medical bills and their day-to-day life bills. They're crowdsourcing for diapers, for formula and those sort of things. That's not living. That's barely getting by. That is one tragedy away from being homeless. And that's not a way to live in our great city. And so those all three things kind of go hand in hand. And when a school district has to crowdsource for their curriculum, there's an issue. And I think Jane hit the nail on the head. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Carroll, what is the most important issue for your district and Montana at this time? You have 2 minutes.
I think the most important thing is fully funding public schools. If we can't fund public schools, why would we fund charter schools and private schools? And public education is what we need in this state. And healthcare. Healthcare is a right, not a privilege. And that needs to be accessible to all people. And wrapped up in that is senior services. This state lost 2,000 nursing home beds a couple of years ago because of Medicaid reimbursement. And that's sad. We've got people driving hours to go see their loved ones because they don't have a nursing home in their own city. And it can happen here. I just heard last night, $12,000 is what the average is for a nursing home in Great Falls, Montana. And fair taxes. I'm tired of large corporations not paying their fair share. It's up to the people to get a break now, and they need to pay their fair share. And I just really love this state, and I'm concerned what is happening to it. It's going to corporations, and we are the ones that are the movers and shakers, not them.
Right, Mr. Berger, what is the most important issue for your district and Montana at this time? You have 2 minutes.
Well, I think one of my biggest issues is we need to quit exporting our best, finest young students that never come back. We've been doing that since 1975. I was in a class of 650 people. Probably about 200 of them still remain in Great Falls. Why? Because all the jobs went elsewhere. And they still go elsewhere. That's part of that public education that we need to fund. And for me, that's one of the most important things. I've been in recovery since 1983, and I've got to see a lot of people that got to change their lives by getting in recovery, staying sober or staying clean, and that was with the help of like the bulk rehab, so people got to be retrained, and some of those programs are no longer in existence. So people, then we have a lot of some treatment centers that are awful expensive, but you have to go to one. We need to have the support of the people here. And the one thing I was gonna say a little bit about my district is from about Interstate 15 all the way out past Cascade and all the way past Fort Shaw and everything in between. So I don't know, I'll be doing a lot of door knocking because it's a long ways in between doors. But I hope to be a voice, that a person that listens, which is one of my best qualities is I'm a good listener, and hopefully be able to use that voice to bring a united voice from my district to Helena. Right.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
Hi, and thank you all for coming. My Senate district encompasses Steve's and Jane's House district. It's quite large. Many of the points that have already been made, I have heard on the doors, and I've heard some heartbreaking stories on the doors. Particularly the hardest ones are around healthcare, but I'm going to touch a bit on public education because I was talking to parents around Giant Springs Elementary, and they are really worried about their kids with special needs and charter schools robbing the public schools of the funding that they need for special needs children. Because I will tell you, charter schools, the only people that profit off of them are the people who run them. It is a sneaky way of privatizing our public schools and robbing them of very much needed funds. We have school choice in Great Falls. You can go to any school you want, you can move around, but we need to invest in our schools so that we have choice within our schools, like the wonderful programs that they have at Great Falls High, where you can build a house or you can take an AP program. We have choice in our public schools, but we need to invest in it. It's the smartest investment that we can make. And with the coming of AI, I'm on the engineering board at Montana State University. Those students are scared, but they need us to invest in teachers who know how to use the tools of AI, help them build opportunities with these new tool sets. And we need to invest more in music, art, and liberal arts to have critical thinking. So all I can say, invest in education. It's good. And so I will pass this mic on to Linda.
All right, Ms. Holland, what is the most important issue for your district and Montana at this time? You have 2 minutes.
Yes, so I'm Belinda Holland, running for Senate District 11. Obviously, affordability, we've already touched on that. That is a huge concern for everybody. Other issues, obviously, we are all hearing about AI data centers and the impacts to our communities, our public lands, our water, and energy rates. That is a huge concern for Montanans. Another issue that I've had a lot of people coming to me about is criminal justice reform with our DOC having mismanaged, and there's millions of dollars that are unaccounted for. They have privatized the whole system, and they've contracted with Core Civic. And there are over 600 families across Montana who their loved ones are no longer even in this state. They have been shipped out of state, and they don't have any of the proper resources. There is no education, rehabilitation. There's not even, I just actually had an individual who reached out to me because her father, who just got transferred to Mississippi, has been sitting with a broken ankle since Sunday, has not been treated. So this is a very big concern that I have had multiple people come out and reach out to me on. These are obviously all issues that I'm extremely passionate about and very concerned about as well. And my biggest thing is we need transparency and accountability within our government systems and the people who are there, which is what you will get with me. So thank you.
All right, Ms. Mindy, what is the most important issue for your district and Montana at this time? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So just to illustrate where Senate District 12 is, it encompasses 2 House districts that Pam and Rebecca are running for. Big district and a lot of income variability. So the biggest issue I feel like facing my district is singing the same song, affordability. Trees, gas, housing, and medical care, among other things. Governor Gianforte will propose replacing Montana's 2 tax bracket system with a proposed flat tax rate of 4.7%. It's very big on his agenda. He already dropped the top tax bracket from 5.9% to what will be 5.4% by 2027, the largest tax cut in Montana history. This decreases the general fund by 20 million this year. I don't know. We'll have to get together on our numbers, but the flat tax rate of 4.7% will decrease the general fund by a proposed 100 million. And it always sounds good. However, most Montanans of low to moderate income will not see any benefit from this because they in that lower tax bracket. So only the very wealthy will see any benefit at all from this. And the 100 million lost to general fund will most likely result in program cuts that will hurt most of us. His argument that this will attract businesses to Montana doesn't impress me. I don't think we need more millionaires and billionaires moving here and paying lower tax rates, and we need them to pay their fair share of taxes. Strong infrastructure like good roads and safe bridges. We need a good social safety net to protect the least among us. We need good governance. We need a change.
Okay, it is time for Q&A with our candidates up here, and then we'll take a 10-minute break after we're done with that. So I have one specific question for front reporter, Rena Fontana Moore, and then the rest of the questions are just gonna generalize, not directed at anybody. So I think what I'm gonna do is. Oh, okay. I think what I'm gonna do for the rest of these questions is people just kind of wrote down topics that they'd like to hear me discuss. So I'll shout out a topic after we're finished with Rena. And if you feel like you'd like to answer that topic or speak to it, please just stand up and go ahead and feel free to do so. Or raise your hand and we'll go in order if there's multiple people who can answer that. Okay, so first question for Rena is, as first reporter, why is it important for my records to be filed in a timely manner?
So Montana is a first file state, which means that if your document comes in ahead of somebody else's, you hold you occupy that position. Where that's very important is, so say you've got deeds that are transferring and you're buying a home, and all those deeds that transfer that ownership to that final purchase have to be correct, so that when the deed for your home is actually put on the record, that you have ownership of that home, that your taxes are going in the correct direction, because if they're not, then you're going to get the delinquent notice. Another thing, so if you look at wind energy, and we have a lot of wind energy in Montana, we don't have a lot of or in Cascade County, we don't have a lot of the oil like they do in some of the other counties, but wind energy, there's a wind shadow. And so if you want to put up a windmill and you come in and file your document, but your neighbor has filed ahead of you, you can't be in that guy's wind shadow or it messes everything up. So that's why it's really important. Another reason that you have to keep your documents and get them in a timely manner. We've had several people reach out to us who had their documents were supposed to be recorded for purchasing a home. They have moving vans set up, they've got family ready to help them. If the document doesn't get recorded in the timely manner, the title company doesn't get to give you the keys. And that has happened on at least 5 different occasions here in the last couple of years. And you can ask any title company if they've got issues, because they do. And that's why it's so very important to get the recording done. And remember, this is the most expensive thing that you guys will ever own, is your home or the land that you're going to build your home on. And that's why those records have to be taken care of in a correct way.
Thank you, Rena. Okay, so I thought about 4 topics here that several people asked about. So if you feel like you'd like to speak to that issue, please just raise your hand, go in order. The first topic that a lot of people asked about was if you could speak to healthcare and Medicaid expansion. And then somebody also asked about expanding mental health resources in Montana. Sure, great. Okay, Jane, go ahead.
So I was proud to vote for Medicaid expansion in my first session in the legislature. That gave 70,000 Montanans coverage for healthcare. It's very important. I will tell you that. Thank you. I'm involved with a group called Inseparable. Inseparable is a nonprofit organization that believes that it is inseparable to have your physical health and your mental health separately. They are together. It's holistic health. And so I actually want to do 2 bills in the next session that will deal with mental health. One of them is for incarcerated folks. I want to make sure that those that are incarcerated and are being treated for mental health issues have the opportunity to choose injectable medications, which only have to be administered once a month. And it's so much easier and so much more stabilizing. The second thing that I would like to propose is that in this state, if you are in the state mental hospital because you have experienced a crisis, or if you are incarcerated and being treated for mental health, when you are released back to your community, you should be released with 30 days of medications in your hands so that you can remain stable while you're doing the difficult job of reintegrating back into your community. So that's what I have.
And maybe, okay, perfect, I'll pass it down to Linda now. Oh, wait, did you want to answer Leila? No, okay, all right, thank you. So, you know,
Okay.
yeah, sure, the prompt, it was speaking to, healthcare affordability and Medicaid expansion, as well as mental health access in, Montana.
So for healthcare, one of the biggest things, I believe that healthcare is a human right. And so I would like to definitely see expansion on Medicaid, but also Medicare Plus, which also includes vision, dental, and end of life expenses. These are all things that I highly, highly support, as well as treatment for mental health. That's a huge one as well, especially for, like Jane was touching on, incarcerated individuals, because if we are not providing those services for them, we're not setting them up to reintegrate into society. And so we are setting them up for failure, essentially. So that is a huge issue. I'm in huge support of that. And once elected, I will be fighting for healthcare for all Montanans here. Thank you.
So personally, I see people for eye exams that, let's Medicaid patients that come in for eye exams, their glasses broke. They have such poor vision. I don't know how they're navigating our building. They're not legal to drive. Now we have a work requirement. We have people who can't see to even get to work, let alone work. We absolutely need to keep Medicaid in the hands of the people that need it because of those issues. Thank you.
I just want to add on
Oh, sure.
to this, the Medicaid, disenrollment very quickly. I'm on the Alluvian board and we're a Alluvian is a safety net at federal qualified healthcare system. One of the things our governor's done, as Jane has pointed out, is he has moved up the disenrollment of people from Medicaid. He's also spending $4.3 million to manage that disenrollment. Bunch of red tape. I'm calling bull on the fact that the Republicans are spending our money wisely. $4.3 million. That could take, what could that money be done for? So I think we all really need to keep a close eye on what's going on with this Medicaid disenrollment. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want to add to the Medicaid, and Margaret, you kind of touched a little bit on that. So in my previous job, working for the Parent Training Information Center, like I said, we worked with families that had children with disabilities all across the state. And when that whole Medicaid unenrollment rolled out, we saw a number of our families and their children get kicked off of Medicaid. And if you look at the latest statistics, the majority of the individuals who are on Medicaid are children. Over 40% of the people who are enrolled in Medicaid in our state are children. And the good majority of those are children with disabilities. And here in Great Falls, at Great Falls Public Schools, they train some of their staff on how to help those families navigate that, because they have made it so complex to navigate that system. And so if you think about when you have, no parent thinks that they're going to have a child with a disability, and they don't think that they're going to have to navigate these systems of care because they are complex and they are so hard to navigate. And then you throw all of this onto it, and then you get kicked off of Medicaid, which gives you all the life-saving medicine and resources and everything that goes into place. And then it makes it 10 times as hard to get back into that system that helps your child just do day-to-day normal activities, and they make it very, very hard. And so I would really advise you to really watch what they're doing with that and who it really, really affects, because it's a very most marginalized community.
Thank you. Can I add one last thing? So I just learned, relating to the expense, I just learned that DPHHS, which manages Medicaid for the state, they've hired close to 50 new employees to manage this work requirement. And I think it's ironic that the work requirement is called community engagement. So whenever you hear the words community engagement, that's really requiring people to work 80 hours a month and to prove it up and to document it so they can continue on Medicaid. It's bogus.
Right on.
Looks like, oh, sorry, can you go in now? Okay.
So I have family members, one here, who have worked in medical services for a lot of their life. And one of the things that we are missing is making sure that we have enough medical staff, medical trained staff in our hospitals. Nurses, particularly CNAs. I've been CNA before. Emergency medicine. I was an EMT for a short period of time myself. So we need to have more people able to get into those services so patients can be seen. I was medical transportation. So I saw how if somebody couldn't get to their appointments, then nobody's winning. The clinics, the hospitals, the patients, especially. So, you know, we gotta help the pool of educated people to expand.
Thank you.
I'll try not to get emotional, but Medicaid affects elderly people. I've lived with and helped my parents who are now deceased. But my dad worked 39 years for an oil company and he put money away. When he passed away, we were scrambling, trying to figure out what to do about my mom. They were down to their last $58,000. And that was with the sale of their home. And my mom, she was going to last maybe a year in a nursing home. And we forget about Medicaid helps those people. And it could be you. The money goes fast. And those slots in those nursing homes are limited too. And so we've got an aging population here. And we really need to think about that. But they need to be treated with respect. And we need to be able to have those places for them where their families can be and where they can have their dignity.
Do any other candidates want to speak to Medicaid expansion or housing?
I think everything's covered.
Okay, that's great. Okay, because we are running tight on time here, I'm gonna go over one more topic. And then any additional questions that were placed in the bucket that were not answered today, please keep an eye on our socials. We'll post it to the event page, as well as to the Cascade County Democratic page. But if your questions were answered, we will get the answer from the candidates, and then we will compile a document so that you can review those answers later online, okay? All right, so next topic is gonna be housing instability and reducing homelessness, I'm so sorry. If you would like to speak to that, please just raise your hand and we'll go in order. Let's start with Belinda.
Sorry, everybody. Hi, Belinda Holland. I'm running for Senate District 11. So to tackle the affordability issue for housing, things that I've been personally thinking about is obviously property management companies and private equity firms and hedge funds. They are the ones that have been buying up the housing in our communities, and they're the ones who've been artificially inflating these housing markets. These houses definitely are not, they're not worth $400,000, $500,000, even $300,000 for a single family starter home. I mean, that's not really a starter home at that price. So getting those entities out of our housing market, I want to actually get independent appraisers who will actually come by and appraise the actual values of the homes. Also, as far as rent control, we definitely need caps on rent. So that's another thing that I will be tackling. Obviously with property management companies specifically, they would be capped. There's various options to look at. One of the ones that I've been considering and looking at is if whatever the square footage is of the unit would be the price of that apartment unit. No more, they can't overprice it that way. So and I think by doing those things, those would be steps to actually help reduce our homelessness. So these are all things that I have actively been looking at, and I will continue to do the work on getting that addressed. Thank you.
Well, you all know who I am, so I'm not introducing myself. The only reason I own a home today is because I inherited it from my family. You know, I have a good, nice brother and sister that did invite me over, because I stayed here now, take care of mom and dad for about a year. And, you know, it's in the last 10 years, my dad died on the 24th of April, 10 years ago. My house was worth $108,000. According to Zillow, now it's anywhere between $234,000 and $255,000. I haven't did any improvement. So that's just a bump in price of something that didn't need to be bumped up. You know, I don't know, you know, back when there's close to, last time close to homeless when I was still using. You know, a lot of times homelessness happened because people lose hope. They start using drugs and alcohol to at least find some comfort. So, and I see homeless every day when I come downtown to have coffee. And, you know, I can't judge them because of the choices that they made. It's, you know, a lot of people left a bad situation and now they're on the streets. But I'm gonna put one little quick plug in for our Cascade County Democrats have an office at the Union Hall that is gonna be more manned during once we get out of the primaries. But you know, I go over there and now there's 3 cars there, 4 cars, and there's about 3 or 4 unions that actually spend time there. Which that's part of my whole thing. You can't afford a home if you don't have a good paying job. And you can't afford rent if you don't have a good paying job. So that's where I come from. Like I said before, I just wanted to put a plug in for our office so people know where to come and talk to us.
Thank you, Jerry. That's right.
Oh yeah, this is like a 4-day subject, but a couple things I want to talk about. I mean, we get people into housing and they may not have the knowledge of like the expenses that it takes to run a house, right? The other thing that I know I have noticed is that we put people who can afford in big apartment complexes, and if they have a mental health illness like chronic PTSD and it's noisy, even though no one's making noise, that's a really hard problem to get people into, because that's the places that people can afford. This is a very complex problem. And if you want to involve, you know, we have a lot of stuff going on. There's people who help with house repairs, when the cold weather drop in, there's so much stuff going on, but this is so complex. But that's the one thing that, you know, it concerns me when we don't give people the knowledge, and it is expensive. There's a lot of moving parts to have an apartment. So let's give people the knowledge. Jane.
So I just want to harken back to Pam Carroll's comment about seniors. I deliver Meals on Wheels on a pretty regular basis in the community. And a lot of the times I'm delivering right here in this house, District 19, where there's a lot of apartment complexes. We have a shortage of housing opportunities for seniors. And Belinda's absolutely right that the hedge funds are coming in and buying them. The Eagles Manor, where seniors are living right now, has been bought by Nest Management out of Mount Vernon, Washington. And they are going to be on a fair market value, which means that somebody who's 85-year-old person is going to have an 18-year-old person living next door, blasting their music and having their dogs in the apartment next door. It's tough. It's hard to even find a location for them to live. People that are in some of the 3-story buildings downtown have no elevator because it's not required. And then all of a sudden you have a knee problem or a hip problem and you can't even get out of your apartment to go buy groceries. And so we need to be worried about this for seniors too, because our seniors are gonna be on the streets if we don't build new places in this community. The state needs to incentivize that kind of development, not the hedge funds coming in and buying the existing properties, but maybe building more. In this community alone, it is estimated that we are 600 apartment buildings short every year. So that's a lot.
When it comes to affordability, one of the things that we forget about are the trailer parks. And people in the trailer parks in Montana have been fighting for some rights for a long time. They're getting bought up and their rates raised so that they're forced to move out. And how do you move all those trailers in 30 days? You can't do it. And then they come in and they build, corporations do stuff with it. And trailers are an affordable thing for people to live in, especially seniors too. And sometimes it's for how young people get started. So we need to address that in the state legislature and quit fighting the people that own trailers and instead help them.
Does anybody else want to speak to housing before we take a break?
I just want to say thank you to you, and thank you to
thank
Karen, and thank you to Leila and Belinda for putting this on. And the rest of
Okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break, and in the meantime, we're gonna switch our federal candidates to these front tables. Feel free to grab a snack, a drink, that snack bar, should be open if you need something for purchase later. And we will see you back at 7:24. Thank you guys.
Great job. So Jane, when I my last one. That was awesome. I said, yeah. Yeah, that was great.
Whenever you're ready, find your seat, and then we'll begin with this kind of habit here for our leadership head at the end of it. And if you need to restock some of the snacks, if you have some more activities.
Come on, Riley, we're waiting for you. Well, also, some that I'm not.
How are you? That's nice. I'm good. I'm gonna ask you, Jen, what happened.
Yes.
I'm already feeling.
It is. Very nice. I have my son's already. So, yeah, that's.
Okay. If our special candidates are to the next perfect, sorry guys, the restock is next step here.
Oh, snacks are.
You might not do that. That's something I do.
Okay. We're gonna get started in just one moment.
I can't.
That's what you tell me.
Okay, all right, everyone take a seat or find a comfortable place. Okay, so it is time to question our federal candidates, and let me just reintroduce everybody. For US Senate, we have Alani Bankhead. We have Riley Neal. In the Montana Sacramento Congressional District, we have Sam Lux. For Montana's second congressional district, we have Brian Miller. Hey, so I've got the mic there in the middle, if you guys just want to pass the mic. Your first question is, what is your professional background and life experience that make you believe you're qualified for office, and why are you running this? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Good evening, everybody. It's so great to see everyone here. My name is Alani Bankhead. I'm running for US Senate. I'm a retired lieutenant colonel and special agent. I've hunted terrorist spies and child sex traffickers all over the world, and I was a senior Pentagon bodyguard. I'm not a politician by trade. I have never been affiliated with politics. I chose to run because I saw my beautiful state and country burning, and I was taught from my family, which we are 3rd generation service members and law enforcement officers, that if you have something to offer your community, you do that. I hate bullies. Ever since I was a little girl, I've always hated when someone uses their power to abuse someone that's weaker than them. And frankly, I did not deploy and get shot at and bombed so that my neighbors could struggle to put food on the table and a roof over their head. I find it completely unacceptable. Everywhere I go, I talk to retirees who are struggling after decades of hard work, and nobody works harder than a Montanan. We talk to our young people who feel like they have no hope in their future. America is the land of the American dream, and we are losing that, and I find that completely unacceptable. Now, I've been all over the world. I've traveled to 80 countries. I've been to almost every state. I've moved every 1 to 3 years my entire life until we retired and chose Montana, because there is no raw leadership talent stronger anywhere in the world than in Montana. Common sense, hard work, family, freedom, community. If you're born and raised here, this doesn't feel special to you, but I'm telling you, it's special. Really, really special. We need to take that to DC. I've got 2 decades of working across the government. I know the experts. I've put hundreds of pedophiles and child sex traffickers in prison. I'm standing for accountability, affordability, and protecting the vulnerable. And as we all know, in the Epstein era, there are some pedophiles that we need to put away. So thank you so much. My name is Lonnie Bankhead, and I'm running for U.S. Senate.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. And Charlie Neal, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe make you qualified for office, and why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for being here and the candidates who are still here. Thank you so much for running. I know what it takes to run for office. And so everyone who has put their hat in the ring, thank you so much. Support these candidates. This is what democracy is all about. I am not a many generation Montanan, but I have been here about 30 years. I ran a newspaper in Livingston for about a decade, and right on Main Street and Lewis Street in Livingston. And I was elected by my community to serve in the Montana State House. Right now, I'm the only candidate in the U.S. Senate race on either side of the aisle, or any side of the aisle, who has legislative experience, who knows how to work across the aisle with Republicans and with everyone, my own party too. I helped write the water law here in Montana when I served on the Water Policy Interim Committee. I've been on the ground for the last year and a half listening to Montanans. And what Montanans have told me in 56 counties and nearly every community, we've been to all of them, some of them 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We've stayed in hotels, we've eaten at the diners, we've gone to the Granges. We've talked to Montanans about their priorities, and they've told us what they want to see in DC. They want someone who shows up and who's responsive. So I ask for your vote, and I'm so thankful to get the opportunity to address you all tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Sam West, what is your professional background and life experience that you believe make you qualified for office, and why are you running for office? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, thank you everyone, first of all, for being here. As some of you may know, I'm right here out of Great Falls, and especially getting to sit down and listening to so many amazing local candidates that are going to represent my community, the place that I live, is really heartening to see. So thank you all so much to the local candidates who are here today. In my background, I like to say I'm very proudly not a politician. I was large animal vet tech. I've worked in software development, and more recently, I'm a farrier right here in Great Falls and for the surrounding community. Now, that means that I'm out there and I work on the ranches and the farms that make up the lifeblood of Eastern Montana every single day. I see the struggles that are affecting our food producers, our ranches, our farms, the people who live here. And I understand them implicitly because I've lived those struggles myself. Now, I've been campaigning since last July, and in that time, I've traveled all over the state of Montana. I've done almost 40,000 miles back and forth across my district, sitting down and listening, talking one-on-one with the people from Great Falls, and going from Sims, which is the edge of my district, all the way over to the Dakota border. That's 422 miles one way, and I've done that trip dozens of times now, making sure that I can have the conversations with and learn about the issues of and represent each and every single Montana here. I think I'm qualified for this office because I know the struggles that are affecting the people here. I've lived those struggles, and I will represent them working for the working class in DC. So I ask for your support, and thanks so much.
You got it.
Yeah, I had a question a lot of times, so yeah, I got it. So I'm Brian Miller. It's good to be here. I'm out of Helena. Glad to be here with my friend Sam and everybody up here and all of you guys that talked. When I was listening to you candidates, I was like, this is amazing. How do we make sure that you guys are running things and not the other people, right? Exactly. Well, yeah, but it's complicated because somehow we've gotten in a situation where there's this ruling class of people that seems to manipulate everybody, and they vote in people in office who really don't give a damn about them. And honestly, the number one qualification for this job is just giving a damn about people. That's all that it is about. It's not about being expertise or anything like that, because whenever whoever goes up there in DC is going to be put into a tremendous amount of influence and pressure by these billionaires and these money people that run everything, right? It's going to be tough. I will just say for myself, I've lived in Montana for 25 years, nearly half my life. I chose to live here because I love this place. And I loved how it was in the late 90s and early 2000s when people were live and let live. People were a little more calm. It wasn't so much crazy anger. We were putting people first back then under Schweitzer and those guys. I think we need to get back to that. I think we will get back to that. And all I can say is this is like in my professional career, I've been an attorney. I've done work all over the state. I always represented just regular people who oftentimes are on the edge of life. And for some reason, I'm always a magnet for screwed up problems. I don't understand why, but that's just what has happened. And so, I'm not afraid of risk. I'm not afraid to play hardball with people. I've been in a lot of tough situations. I've won some, I've lost some. And this is going to be a real tough battle up there, because just getting one of us up there is not going to be the end of the story. It's going to be very difficult. We're in for some very hard times. So we're going to need to be smart and tough about it. But anyway, I'm glad to be here tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll start back with the long bankhead. And the next question is, what do you believe is the most important issue or concern facing the state and the nation at this time?
Well, in terms of what we're hearing across the state, without a doubt, housing, healthcare, everywhere we go. Not to mention the fact that at a national level, we have an administration that is taking all of our money and all of the power and abusing that power against us. So in terms of housing and healthcare, housing, we should have a universal healthcare system. It's going to take some time to get there. We have to start with a Medicaid for all. And you know what? We already have a system in place that is government run, and it's TRICARE, right? We're in the land of Malmstrom Air Force Base. It's a system where everything's covered, your eyes, your dental, your mental health. And we also have coverage for those rural healthcare areas. So in the event that someone is willing to take a hardship tour to go somewhere in a rural community, then the government can send those folks with a little bit higher pay and with housing benefits using the system that we already have in place. Now, when people ask me how we're going to pay for it, I tell them the defense budget. And I'm a retired lieutenant colonel. I understand how those Pentagon budgets work. And we can claw back your tax money and use that towards healthcare without impacting national security. And no one can tell me any different, because I've seen all those figures. The other third of the budget for Medicaid for all is going to come from the illegal war in Iran ending, which is costing us almost $2 billion a day. And with housing and healthcare, we're going to take venture capital out of all of it. We're going to make sure that they're not able to buy our houses and exploit us and be able to evict us whenever they feel like it. We've also got tax incentives for construction companies. We're going to raise the capital gains ceiling from $250,000 to $500,000. So we already have a lot of ideas in place, some small, some big, to start alleviating the pressures on housing and healthcare and get y'all the economic support that you all deserve after decades and years of hard work. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mia. What do you believe is the most important issue or concern facing the state and the nation at this time?
Thank you. I can speak specifically to Montana because that's where I've been for the last 30 years of my life, raising our 5 kids together in Livingston, Montana. I can speak to what's going on in our 56 counties that I've visited. Just 45 minutes ago, we were just up in Fort Benton having a town hall. And the people in Fort Benton are concerned about healthcare. They're concerned about our are care homes closing. Now, when you go over to Glendive and you go up to Culbertson, they're worried about the tariffs and the chaotic trade policy that is messing with our agricultural producers. I say messing with, it's killing them. I'm hearing about this. That's their number one issue. I hear that people all across this state, like Troy, we were just in Troy and Libby about 2 weeks ago. Housing, you may not know this, the price for a single unit is $1,200 a month in Troy. You can't make that kind of money in Troy. So we have costs of living problems here in Montana. We're one of the least expensive places to live. These are just some of the issues that I hear about on the ground every day, all across the state for the last year and a half. But the one that's risen to the top more times than any other is stopping Trump's agenda.
Yeah.
That's number one. And I think that will echo all across the country. And I can tell you this, all this messaging, all this policy that we have gained from listening to Montanans on the ground, the Republicans in DC just put out a mailer with my face and all of this messaging on it, and they thought it was going to hurt us. Let me tell you something, thousands of people have reached out in the last week to support us, to donate, to tell us, I read this is the best advertisement for you I could ever imagine. So these are the issues that are important to Montanans, and these are the issues we're going to be working on. Thank you.
What do you believe is the most important issue or concern facing the state and the nation at this time?
So I made the promise when I started running that I wouldn't be so arrogant as to come into communities I didn't live in and tell them what they need, because that's not how representation is supposed to work. So I can't speak to what I personally see as those big issues, but what I can speak to are the issues that people have told me about as I've traveled back and forth across this great state of ours. I've heard from folks out there in Glendive who are worried about the tariffs, who are worried that we're not going to be able to get our crops to sell for a rate that's going to pay to seed the next year and to keep our small family farms. Talk to folks out in Lewistown who are terrified that the lack of a proper farm bill, right to repair, MCOOL legislation, and ways to bring our fertilizer prices down are going to make it so that our ranches are going to fail and this bubble that we're seeing in cattle is going to pop. Talk to folks right here in Great Falls who are absolutely terrified that we are not going to find a way to bring down this absolutely out of control cost of healthcare crisis that is crippling the people who live right here in the town that I love living in. So when it comes down to it, across the board, these all come down to two things. They come down to a cost of living crisis that is making it harder to live and harder to thrive and follow what we were all told was the American dream. And secondly, it comes down, as Riley just said, to stopping the agenda of the current administration, for making sure that when we send people to DC, regardless of if it's as your U.S. House of Representatives, your Senate, or your president, that they are representing the needs of the people and not those of private corporations, billionaire partners, and themselves. Amen. So that's what I'm going to represent. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
You got it, Mr. Matt.
I got it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Riley's example is great, right? They send out a mailer saying she's gonna oppose the Trump agenda, and everyone's like, thank you very much, right? We gotta take advantage of this situation, okay? These guys do not understand how much people cannot stand what's being done to them right now. And you just heard all the litany of things, right? I mean, the one thing we've got to get right in this thing, and this is probably one of the bigger ones, the healthcare one is huge, obviously, right? But one that's really killing us right now in Montana, we got to deal with is the crisis in agriculture, because that is so critical to our state. And we have got to break the stranglehold that the Republican Party has had on farmers and ranchers. And this is the cycle to do it. We got to get serious about it, okay? We got to shake these people by the collar and say, what the hell are you doing? Look at the tariffs. Look at the fact that they can't get right to repair. They can't get mandatory country of origin labeling. And they're letting Trump dump $800 million worth of Argentinian beef into our markets. And what are these Republicans doing? Nothing. They're not doing anything. So those of us up here whichever one of us goes on. We've got to be tough about that. We've got to bring that message in a very direct way. And so, excuse me, I think when you look at all these problems though, they all come back to one single orange guy that's in the White House right now, and the simple reality is this: if we don't get that guy under control, we're not going to be able to get anything done in the United States of America. So when we get up there, we have to be tough with him. We got to be very tough with him. We got to get him in line and not only focus on him, but we've got to start reaching into the American people and giving them a different vision of where we want to take this country. We have got to bring this thing back to the people. And we've got to show the people that we're going to fight for them and that we're serious about it. If we do that, I think we can do well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to open up to Q&A in just a moment. Let me just see if I have any questions on Zoom. We have questions on Zoom. Let me check with Helena about what you guys have. Perfect. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so this one is addressed to all the federal candidates on stage. Number one, where do you stand on campaign finance laws? Sure, go ahead, Sam.
We need full campaign finance reform. I fully support the Montana plan. I fully support pulling not only dark money, but all lobbyist money out of politics. The reality is I keep hearing that, oh, it's so expensive to get a bill passed through Congress. No, it isn't. It's one guy writing something down on a piece of paper and then having a bunch of other guys look at it and vote yes or no. That's not that expensive. It might cost 3 cents for the paper, another 2 cents for the ink. So at the end of the day, I think that we need to see a complete reformatting of the way the campaign finance works. And running for office, being in office, these are things that we are doing as a public service. This is something we do for the people that we love in the place that we love. This should not be a career. This should not be a way to get rich. Thank you.
I'm not taking $1 of dirty money. I'm not taking any dark money. And I also support the Montana plan and getting dark money out of politics, but I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna do it. We're gonna win a federal race without taking dark money. And then the political consultants who are making $50,000 and $75,000 a month on this Senate race already on the other sides of the aisle, they are gonna be rendered absolutely incompetent. Impotent. Because they will have. But seriously, we have to win a race without using dark money. And I'll tell you something, it doesn't take $150 million to win a race for US Senate in Montana. If that work tester would be our senator right now. So the way through this is not taking the money. It's not easy. It is not easy. And I don't think any candidate on this stage is taking dark money. So it's not easy to do.
So I just want to reflect back the power of Montana, right? I mentioned those Montana values that we want to take to DC that are so unique to the rest of the country. And the Montana plan, nobody else is doing anything like that across this nation. And now there are themes that we hear across the state. And one of them is, I feel powerless in the face of all this dark money coming into our state. And I'm here to tell you, nobody does grassroots better than Montana. And all we are asking y'all to do is to remember the power of the individual. It's in our blood as a state. If you identify who you want to get behind and you support them 110%, right now we're in theory mode about this. You can't win a federal race using dark money. We're going to prove it, like Riley was saying, this year. And it's going to be because all of y'all who are here, who are patriots, who are deciding we're not going to put up with it, you're going to do your due diligence, you're going to vote accordingly, and you're going to support those candidates. So my hope for y'all is that you leave here empowered, inspired, and encouraged, knowing that you are more powerful than they are. That's why they're pouring hundreds of millions into you, because they want to buy your vote. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for caring about democracy. We are going to flip all of these seats in November.
Yeah, ditto on everything, transparency, initiative and all that stuff. So let me tell y'all something else though. Here's the thing though. Once we get through the general election, y'all are gonna have to help us out because that's one thing. If you want candidates who don't take dark money, then we're gonna need people, regular people are gonna have to start throwing some money in the kitty. All right, you see, I mean, that's the flip side of this. Now, here's the good news on that, okay? We don't need to have them on a 1-to-1 dollar ratio to beat them, and I'm gonna give you evidence of that. There was a Senate district race in Texas, Senate District 9, and it was a +15 Republican seat. This happened in February. The Democrat got outspent by a 10-to-1 ratio and flipped it 17 points. And so in this election cycle, we don't need to, we can be outspent and still beat them. So you have to understand that. And the reason why I think that's happening is because things are shifting out there and people are feeling it and they're seeing it. And those same old tricks that these guys use with the crappy mailers. I mean, look what they did with Riley. They helped Riley. Riley was getting phone calls off what they thought that it was going to hurt her. It just shows you how out of touch they are. All right. So we can do this, guys, but it is going to take a team effort. Everyone's going to have to pitch into it, but it can be done. This can be an excellent election cycle to really show, like everyone was saying, that you don't need all this dark money. And they kind of implied, Riley hit on this too. There's this whole political consulting class out there that makes money off these things. We've all gotten calls from them. Okay, we've all gotten calls and we've all said no. So help us out when we get into that next phase, guys. Thank you.
Okay, next question is, what is your plan to protect public lands in Montana and around the US?
I'll be first. I'll just take Just don't vote for Republicans.
I mean, you know, I'm always saying I agree with most of it, right? So, you know, I'm with them on that. Beyond that, I think that we need to look forward as to how we are going to protect our public lands and everything else, not just now, but into the future, and how we're going to make sure that no administration that is corrupted by greed or corporate backers or private interests at any point in the future, no matter what side of the aisle they're from, is able to take advantage of our resources in the future even. The way that we're going to do that is we are going to put in stricter laws that ensure our environmental protection, just like the state of Montana already has with its state constitution. We are going to make sure that we are putting in better laws when it comes to resource extraction to make sure that it has to be environmentally sound. And we are going to make sure that we create those laws to leave a zero footprint in the areas where resource extraction is actually engaged in. That's something I think that everybody here in Montana can get behind because we have a state full of beautiful resources. We also have a state where we have always valued our public lands and making sure that those spaces are still accessible to us after we take those resources when we need them. Thank you.
Thank you.
So here in Montana, we have an entire federal workforce that manage our public lands, BLM, USDA, Forest Service. In Montana, about 25%, 30% of those people have had their jobs cut. They've had their budget slashed. I was in Glacier National Park at West Glacier yesterday, talking to some of the folks who are working there. They're very thankful to have their jobs, but they know this summer is gonna be rough. So first thing I'm gonna do, the first day that I'm a US Senator in DC, I'm going to the General Accounting Office. And I want to see the records of who's been fired and why. And then I will come and do field hearings here in Montana to broadcast them across the nation so people can understand the loss to our public lands management here in Montana, which has had an incredible effect on the ground. Here in Montana, we value our public lands. They're working lands. That's where our clean water comes from. So it's much more than just protecting the lands we recreate on that are our lands to manage and paying the people who manage them. It also is about protecting our clean air and water. These public lands make sure that we can ranch, we can farm, And everyone across the state that I'm talking to knows this. So making sure that we can hold this administration accountable for those cuts and making sure that going forward, as Sam mentioned, that we have some mechanisms to make this in perpetuity. Thank you so much.
I can't believe we're talking about this. This should be a no-brainer. We should protect our public lands. And once again, I'm going to highlight the power of Montana's community because it is our state legislature that worked across the aisle to fight the sale of public lands via the Big Beautiful Bill. That made national news, not because it was a slow news day, but because of how powerful Montana is. Now, one of my platform items is protecting the vulnerable, and our public lands are vulnerable. Our environment is vulnerable. My husband is a retired EPA agent. He investigated clean air, clean water violations. You probably saw in the news a couple weeks ago, there were about 60,000 federal investigations that got dumped by the administration. All of my husband's cases got dumped. All those clean air, clean water violations. There was a rancher that his water source was poisoned and he lost $1 million worth of cattle. This administration does not care about anything other than the almighty dollar, and we're going to stop it. And it starts by dumping the federal delegation we have, flipping it blue so that we can protect our public lands the way that you all intend us to. Thank you.
Okay, our next question is going to be, if you are elected, what committees do you plan to serve on and why?
Oh, sorry, what was the question?
If you are elected, what committees do you plan to serve on and why?
Sure.
All right, I served on business and labor, transportation, and the water policy interim committee in the state legislature. When I go to DC, I want to be on natural resources because water, 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 water. You know, here in Montana, data centers, they're a state issue. But if I have a chance to vote on clean air and water in DC, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to mandate anything for this state, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to encourage everyone on the ground to do the same. I also would like to serve on the agricultural committee. Now I understand I'll be a freshman senator and I've been a freshman in a legislative body before. You don't have a whole lot of power. They tell you where to go. But at the same time, I have unique talents to be on those committees. And in those committees, I'd be able to do some of this work I've already chatted with you about tonight, going to the general accounting office, making sure that our funds are being appropriated and making sure there's oversight to where that money's going or not going. Thank you.
So I'm a root cause person. That's why I got into child sex trafficking and child rape cases, because I wanted to remove the impediment of trauma so that our kids could grow up to be healthy, happy adults and seize the American dream. Right now, we need to put our financial oxygen mask on first as a country. And that means working foreign policy so that we can stop the illegal war in Iran, so that we can improve the relationships that we've destroyed via this administration with other countries, so that we can get our agriculture back on track, so that we can get our trade relations restored, so that we can build goodwill that clearly it has set us back decades at this point. Additionally, anything healthcare, housing, we've got to take care of as many Montanans as possible, and it doesn't matter if you're red or blue. It is all about putting as much economic support back into Main Street as possible. Thank you.
So, like Riley said, as a freshman, you don't always have a lot of say where you go. And no matter where I'm put, I will make sure I work every single day to make sure that I'm representing Montana as best as I possibly can. That said, I want to be in agriculture. I want to be in natural resources as well. And more than that, I also want to be in technology. As I said, I've worked before in the technology sector for a few years. I understand the benefits it can have. I also understand the harm that it can cause, especially if it is left without proper regulation. We're seeing that especially with data centers, we're seeing it with AI, and we're seeing it with the new ScrubNet protocols. So I absolutely will be pursuing those as the committees I work on. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're not gonna have any choice about what committees we go to at all. We're just gonna go where someone sends us. But with that said, I want to tell you what I want to work on. Because I think that's really what the question is, like, what are your legislative priorities? So One of the big, obviously agriculture, we need a farm bill that works for the farmers, not the corporations, okay? We have to do this. Farm bankruptcies are through the roof. The family farms are disappearing and the globalist class loves it because they come in and they buy these things up and they turn them into these huge factory farms. And then the way of life that we all want is gone. And it's also not in our national interest or our state interest. We do not know what's going to come in the future. We have no idea. This world is getting crazier every day. We cannot rule out global conflict. We can't rule out supply shortages. We can't rule out anything right now. It'd be foolish. The world order that we've known is dying off. We see that every day. So we need to be self-sufficient. We are going to need family farms. We're going to need to be in a position where we can take care of ourselves. So that's something that I want to work on. Another thing that is not being talked about enough is the debt. That's not being talked about. And we have to get really serious about that. Under the Trump budget just came out. And according to Trump's numbers, it's going to make the budget go down, which is nonsense. But according to the Congressional Budget Office, Trump's budget is going to have our debt to GDP ratio at 125% in the coming years. And that's under rosy estimates, okay? We're facing a really serious problem, and we have got to get the debt under control, but we also, to address all these affordability things that all y'all were talking about, we have to restructure how our entire economy works. These are big, big changes we need to do. We can't nibble around the edges of this stuff. We have to have huge paradigm shifts. And so, is there a committee that you get to do on that? I don't know, but we can go and pound the drum on that. And like Riley and all these guys said, we can be back here and get public support and public sentiment behind it, because that's what we're gonna need to do.
We are, I have a time here, but I want to ask one more question. It's a quick one, and then we'll get it right out here. Do you support term limits for members of Congress and Supreme Court?
Yes.
There you go. One.
Yes, to Congress, Supreme Court, I think we need to have an age limit.
Yeah.
And also, we need to add 4 more justices. That's the only way we're gonna solve that problem.
I absolutely support limits, term limits. I'm not going to the Senate to die. I go slow.
Yes, to term limits. One of the things that we hear though is what happens when you lose all that continuity in that experience. So in the federal government, in the justice system, we already have what are called investigative assistants. These are civilians that are nonpartisan and they stay for 20, 30 years, and their job is to provide that continuity from representative to representative. So we already have a system for that in the federal government. We can replicate it across Congress to make sure that we don't have these folks dying in those positions, but also maintaining that history and that continuity.
Thank you. And we'll close this out. I want to thank everybody for coming. We had such a great turnout tonight. I want to thank our federal candidates for traveling here. Local candidates who come out, and I'm so impressed that we have so much knowledge and experience in Greenville. If you want to chat, shake hands, take advantage of your candidates while they're here, please do so. I believe some of them brought yard signs and literature if you want to grab some stuff on the way out.
Tomorrow night at the Celtic Cowboy, there is a panel on how politics can affect the court systems in Montana. And so Celtic Cowboys so judiciary, they just the court, nonpartisan court. I always say the wrong way. Thank you all so much, and keep your eye out for protests. I'm still doing it. But I still.
No, I'm staying here tonight just because I just don't feel like drive back home. I've been here. I had to work today, so I've been in. I had a few yesterday. It's like yesterday, stayed last night. And chill.
Yeah, it's I'm doing
What else you got going on?